I should ask you about how the Indians, and I don't know if you asked anybody while you were over there, but how the Indians regard NATO's campaign in Afghanistan to rebuild that country. What do they think of that effort?
The Indians have a great interest in Afghanistan. They just gave $1 billion in aid for, quote, reconstruction, unquote, which is really buying influence. And and for a poor country like India, that's a lot of money. They have over 1,000 intelligence agents operating in Afghanistan.
Okay, let me stop you there. How do you know that?
From the horse's mouth.
Which horse?
The Indian intelligence sources.
You have sources in Indian intelligence who tell you they have
Yes.
1,000 agents inside Afghanistan doing what?
Reporting back to Delhi.
Just listening in?
Listening, yeah, assessing the situation. And it's easy in India to hire 1,000 people. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
Every now and then, I got to tell you, every now and then you see, you say something like that, and it just, I think, how does he know that? Where is he getting that from? I'm not meaning to question your...
Well, I didn't dream it up.
No, I'm not meaning to question your judgment.
I'm just Delhi from a very reliable source.
You've got sources in places I don't, so I'm always curious about...
I'm a journalist, Steve. I have to dig up. But the point is that the Indian government, I also learned on this trip, has concluded that the war in Afghanistan is lost, as I just mentioned, and that NATO will throw up its hands at some point and pull its troops out of Afghanistan.
And that's an opening for India to do something?
Well, they have to, now what do we do next? And India says, and they are fighting Pakistan in a sort of a proxy war in Afghanistan. So the Indians will get more involved in Afghanistan, supporting non-Pashtun forces in the north of Afghanistan. It's a recipe for more instability and rivalry rather than less, but it is disturbing that both the Indians and the Pakistanis independently have come to the same conclusion that NATO is going to lose the war in Afghanistan and at some point give up.
You know, we talked about this a couple of nights ago on this program. We're not quite sure how you would know victory when you see it in Afghanistan. How will we know defeat and what it looks like? It's not going to be, it's not like World War II where you're going to see parades coming down the street indicating victory. By the same token, how will we know if and when the war is lost, as you think it will be?
I think when we start seeing all kinds of face-saving measures, like President Karzai announcing he's requesting American troops or Canadian troops to withdraw because they've achieved their mission, and suddenly you see the Taliban dancing in the street. Oh, they're not allowed to dance. Celebrating, shooting bullets in the air. And we'll see. What it will mean is the foreign occupying forces will leave, and the southern part of Afghanistan will be really taken over by Taliban.
As you know, this country just sustained its worst single-day military losses since the Korean conflict, more than 50 years ago. 6 soldiers killed in one day. Do you think that gives decision makers in this country pause to reconsider what our government has us doing over there?
I wish it did, but I don't think so, because this war has become part of the political platform of the Conservative Party. Prime Minister Harper has hung his political hat on this, what was supposed to have been a jolly little war in Afghanistan. We're rebuilding and helping women's rights and all these good-sounding things. But unfortunately, it's turning more and more bitter, and they can't define victory, and they're stuck, because if Harper admits and pulls the troops out, he's going to have to admit defeat. It's going to hurt him politically. It's unfortunate. Military decisions should not be made on the basis of domestic politics, but they are in this case. The best that we can hope for is that Harper can somehow convince Washington to allow Canadian troops to be rotated out of the danger zone of southern Afghanistan and move to a quieter zone, or mission accomplished, we won, women are liberated, to send them back home.
We seem very committed about staying, and seem very, you hear the Chief of Defense Staff talking frequently about how our guys are happy to be over there. They got a job to do. They see it as an important job. I don't see any signs of what you're referring to.
Well, all soldiers talk this way, and they're all professionally optimistic. And these are professional soldiers. That's their job. They should be happy to be over there. It's their métier. But sometimes we have to say, you hear the same thing about U.S. troops in Iraq. Oh, they're great. They love the war. They're very happy. But sometimes we have to intervene and do the troops a favor and take them out of a war which is not being won and which is aimless and has no political objective, and get them out of the situation before more are killed.
We got a minute left here, and I want to ask you, you don't sit still very much. You're just back from India, and pretty soon you're off to France for an annual trip on the Maginot Line, which that's one of your things. You love to do that.
It is my eccentricity.
It is. Eric, they're having an election there soon. It's a really interesting election. You're going to be watching it, no doubt, while you're over there. What do you anticipate?
Well, there's four leading candidates. There is a very eager beaver, high nervous man named Sarkozy.
Okay, Nicolas Sarkozy.
Nicolas Sarkozy.
From the incumbent party. Then you've got Ségolène Royal.
Ségolène Royal.
Socialists. Now, I know about those
Jean-Marie Le Pen,
the
front of the Vichyite National Front. And you've got a new entrant, François Bayrou, who's an amiable farmer type who really...
He's got a shot?
He has a tremendous shot. In fact, he's my favorite candidate. And the reason why, because Sarkozy he's a neoconservative, he wants to shake up France, he wants to change everything. French don't want to be shook up. France is a wonderful country. It's the closest you get to paradise. There's Ségolène Royal, who's kind of an airhead. Le Pen nobody wants Le Pen with his fascists, though a lot of people will vote for him as a protest vote. And there's Mr. Bayrou, who's amiable. Let's go to lunch. Let's drink a little Beaujolais. And this is the man French want.
No wonder he's your candidate. He sounds a lot like you. Thanks so much for coming in tonight. It was a pleasure. Steve.